Good afternoon and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting, Monday, June 7th, 2021. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Well, first thing on the agenda today is the approval of minutes from February 25th, 2020 regular session and June 30th, 2020 regular session. Gentlemen, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, did we call the meeting to order?
No, we didn't. That's
I
correct.
make a motion to call the meeting to order.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, second thing on the agenda today is the minutes that, for approval for the Board of Selectmen from February 25th, 2020 regular session to June 30th, 2020 regular session.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think I received it in my email PDF, or did you have it in your book?
Yes, I
have
do
here.
have it.
Huh?
I have them here. But maybe not, if not.
Mine jumps right to appointments in this book, and I didn't get it in the PDF either.
Okay, well then we'll table it to the next meeting.
Make a motion to table the minutes.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay.
Good.
Next on the agenda, I have meeting mail. We have a letter of resignation from John Howcroft with over 30 years of service on the on the Finance Committee. His letter states that he is resigning the Finance Committee in order to serve the Acushnet School Committee, which he was elected to May 15th, 2021. John received 3 votes, which got him on the school committee, unopposed, 3 write-in votes. So I'd like to thank John very much for his years of service on finance and look forward to another 30 years on the school committee.
You'll do great.
So very good. Do we have the gentleman from JT's?
Yes.
Is there just 1 or 2 showing up today? Is someone else coming?
No, it's just me.
And you are, sir?
Justin Tavares.
Justin Tavares. Very good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
On our agenda, we have a hearing today for a transfer of license for the alcohol beverage license from JT's Pub, Kevin Gonzalez manager, to Justin Tavares, manager, owner. And gentlemen, any comments or questions concerning this?
No, just keep it a clean running business over there, that's all we ask, right?
Sure.
Be respectful of your neighbors.
Yep, I've been managing for him already, so we have
So
a
you're
good
familiar with the
good
operation
rapport
already?
with all the neighbors.
Alright, great.
Yeah, one item though, on that, on Slocum Street, we can get into a little bit later on with some of the no parking signs, if you could just remind, so on, across the street.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Is there any way to possibly put a sign closer to the top of the street?
Yeah, well, I
Because-
think we've got some signs on order, we're trying to
Yeah, that would be
get-
great, because I tell them
It'll
all the
help you
time.
out, you know what I
Right,
mean?
but
But,
then
yeah.
no one sees a sign. If they haven't came into the bar before, then they don't know. But
That'd be great.
the police have been very helpful, just letting us know that, not giving us any trouble.
Mhm.
Yeah, Mr. Menard's here, so I would ask Mr. Menard that if we can get a sign, 50 feet down from Slocum, figure it out, right? By the garage, the side of the garage is where you're talking about, Selectman Warner. So if we can get a no parking sign from here to corner, down 50, 60 feet, whatever is reasonable.
Very good then. Paperwork that we did receive say a good standing on taxes, current holder of the license, and current on unemployment and employee medical assistance. So if there's nothing further, can I have a motion to approve the license transfer, alcohol beverage license transfer from Kevin Gonzalez, manager, to Justin Tavares, manager / owner, contingent upon ABCC approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you
good.
very much.
Motion passes. Well, we're
Good
all
luck.
set.
All
Well
set?
done.
All right.
You bet.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too.
Take care.
We're gonna move forward, a little bit out of order here. And we're gonna move to old business. This is a carryover from our last meeting concerning a vacation carry forward request by the DPW union. And we discussed this at the last meeting. Mr. Gaspar, I don't know if you were familiar with what was said, or if we need to review that. If you'd just like to move ahead, and or how you feel about this situation. At the last meeting, we had a split vote here concerning this, and my point was it's not in the union contract, and so I'd just like to follow that direction, and I haven't moved on that. And Mr. Warner, if you'd like to reiterate what was said at the last meeting or condense it,
Sure, I'm happy to share with Mr. Gasper and you how I feel about this, and that as I'm seeing other requests, I just kind of feel like in 2020, it was such a screwy year, right? And all of the rules sort of, we had to kind of park by the wayside just to kind of get through the year, provide the service, allow people to be safe. On something like this, my feeling is, it doesn't cost us anything per se, and if you can be flexible for our employees, I'm for that. I'm not too much of a stickler when it comes to this stuff. I kind of try to make it an environment where people want to come to work, and sometimes we gotta give a little just to show that our interest in that, and so that's my feeling, is I'm not too worked up about allowing these to be rolled over. You get a manager who feels he can manage it properly. We're all adults here, so that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I understand it's not in DPW contract, but we also, last year, we did some carryover for employees, and I said, we have to make sure that we do a better job, make sure people are using their vacation time as much as we can. But I'm in agreement where you kind of get stuck on things, and the way the year falls, the weather falls, especially with DPW. I mean, for this year, I'll be okay with it, because I know Mr. Menard's got his crew out on Middle Road, off of Middle Road, doing Myrtle Homestead, Conduit, and there's one other street there, Wilbur, that's already been done, right? To try to finish up by the year end, to knock that off, and we got some discussion later on. So I mean, for this, what, you got every guy looking to carry over?
No, probably four guys.
So,
probably, yeah.
I'll make an exception to the rule, and I'm okay with it, just because I know Mr. Menard's schedule, with 3 weeks left in the year and trying to get things done. I'm willing to make an exception to the rule, but I think it's something that we discussed, Mr. DeRosa, last year with regular employees, and we don't see a lot of people carrying over vacation and buying back vacation. So I would hope that can be managed a little bit better amongst everybody in department heads, that they can use their vacation time throughout the calendar year. So with that said, I'm okay this time around, and we've done it for other unions, and that's part of the problem, is when you do for one, then the other group's gonna be looking for it as well, and that's so to make everybody equal, I'll let it ride this time around, and let the 4 individuals carry over a week's vacation, but I don't feel I'll be in the same boat next year.
Okay, well then, very well. Have a motion to approve the vacation carry forward request from the DPW union.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm a no. Motion passes. Okay, then we move back. Next on the agenda is the vacation buyback request for non-union personnel. Town administrator, police chief, fire chief, town accountant. As you know, inside of each of these persons' contracts is a clause that allows buyback for unused vacation days. In the case of the town administrator, she is requesting 10 unused vacation day buybacks. Fire chief, 5 unused vacation day buybacks. Police chief, 5 vacation day buybacks. And the town accountant, 5 days buyback. So it's in their contract, they each stated the clause that pertains to it. So gentlemen, any comments, questions?
Same comment I just had, Mr. Chairman. I mean, there's 52 weeks in a year. Every other week, you would be able to use 5 weeks vacation. So there's no reason why vacation time can't be used up, in my opinion, but the exception to the rule again, I guess.
Well, okay, so, cause, it's in the contract for the buyback, so, Mr. Warner?
Yeah, no, my comments are the same, I just think in a pandemic year, everything was upside down. You know, we required a lot of our employees. I would ask, moving forward, for Julie, the people that report to you, that you manage, that you stay on top of that and ensure that, you know, the people that report to you use their vacation time, because we want them to be fresh and on the job and feeling good about things. And then, I think from our standpoint, Julie, we gotta work with you to ensure that you use your vacation time, because that's what it's there for.
Well, very good then. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda. Once again, dealing with vacation days. So we have the ASME union, which this concerns the library only, I believe. This is for library employees, and it's pretty much what it's describing is they're requesting vacation days, the same number of hours as the town hall employees.
Yeah, so it's holiday.
Holiday.
So, essentially in the last contract, that we had, we merged the library contract with the ASME clerical union. And this is kind of one of those things that just didn't really get a lot of thought put into it when we did that merge. And it's hit us a few times where the library's open different days, they're open for different hours. And so every year that we've had this new contract now, I've had to work with Dina to try to sort through, well, this says a half day, how many hours does that mean? And essentially the union said, can we just put together a side letter pretty much every year, unless we can put some better language into the next contract, but just to show what days they're getting the holidays, so that it equals, you know, what everyone else in the union is getting.
A lot of holidays.
A lot of holidays, yeah, and so the only
A
difference.
lot of holidays.
The only difference I'll note in here, that there are quite a number of half holidays this year that fall on a Friday, and a Friday is only, I believe, 3.5 or 4 hours for the library. So we put full day, because essentially it'd be really difficult to get them to come in for, you know, 1.5 or 2 hours, to then get the other time off. And I believe Friday might be at night as well, so like Christmas Eve, to come in from like 1 to 3 at night to get your holiday for the second 2 hours is a little bit rough. So that's what they're proposing here, and I have no issue with the hours equal out to what the town hall staff would get.
Gentlemen, any comments?
Yeah, I didn't really look at the ASME contract to see what the hours were, and so.
Well, the biggest change, the addition of Juneteenth. So, that's in their contract, it's the town hall contract also?
That's the
Yes.
only contract.
ASME?
Yep.
The only contract.
That is correct.
So, that would be Sunday, June 19th, which transfers over to Monday, June 20th. So,
It all equals out to the same amount of hours, as Ms. Hebert said. And that's what we do for now, for the 1 year, and let's take a look at it. The contract's up anyway, we got a 1-year contract that they agreed to extension to, so we can take some time to look at that.
Yes.
And try to figure it out, see what it's all about. We can do that, but for right now, moving forward for the next year, I think if all the hours equal out again.
well, very good, then I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda, we have interdepartment transfers. Oh,
I just put you guys a full version of all the expenses, if you guys want to just see where everything's at.
What is this?
It's just all the expenses, just in case if you really wanna see what the plan has.
Just like current year to date.
Just to see the plan. If you don't need it, don't have to, it's okay.
Sorry, interdepartment transfers again?
It's kind of a lot to look
No, these are all,
at.
just see what everyone has and doesn't have really, like where the money's coming from, you can see everybody's budget as of today.
Okay.
And you all have the printout of the transfers, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, let's do some speed reading, huh?
What are we doing all, yeah, right? That's the problem.
Yeah. Now,
Here's
if you guys
100
ever wanna,
pages.
if you guys ever wanna just look through it or see where we are, this is just a current year to date, so you guys can check it.
Well, Julie, you says,
So this is all within the budget, right? Their
Yeah.
current budgets.
Yep.
And just shuffling money around because we have that exclusion at the end of the last 60 days of the fiscal year and the first 15 days, get it correct?
Yep, so from May first through July 15th, we can do transfers from one department to the other or between departments, salary and expense lines. And essentially, it's just something that came out with the Municipal Modernization Act where you don't have to use the reserve fund and deplete it when you have money in other accounts. So essentially, there's 2 pages here, it kind of goes on to the second page, and it's kind of hard to get it all printed out nice and big for you guys, so hopefully you can read it well enough. But the first column, the left column is where we're transferring money from, and then the right column is where we're transferring it to. So all of the accounts on the right have deficits right now. And if you look through what Melissa just gave you, you'll see those. I don't know if you guys wanna go through it line by line.
I'm sorry, when you said so you're transferring from, and then, so, for an example, sorry, Mr. Chairman, but
That's
for an
fine.
example, number one, Veterans Department is in the amount of $15,761. Planning Board's given up $6,539, and it's to pay legal expenses?
Yep, it'll transfer to town council legal expenses for a
Okay.
total of 22,300. You know, that one's obviously, we've had a lot of extra legal costs with PJ Keating. The second one is, the assessors have a few line items, longevity for $740, and salaries administrative assistant for $2,200. And then the council on aging, salaries van drivers, $808, and that's going to be transferred to the assessors, the dues and subscriptions and memberships line item for a total of $3,748. Kelly, I think Kelly's here if you have any questions on that. She needed a printer, she's attending a few courses, and then there were some other overages and other line items that leave her unable to pay a management consulting bill.
So, the bulk of that money is going to management consulting?
And then the third line for assessors, they're just moving within their salaries, longevity for $60 to salaries for overtime for $60. And this was mainly due to us changing and having, we originally had night meetings on Tuesdays when we worked late anyway. And when that schedule changed, they didn't have a budget for overtime at all, so they're looking for $60 there. Number 4 is the Veterans Department, Veterans Benefits, in the amount of $5,685 going to the registrar of voters, salaries temporary. This one is more of a timing issue. The town clerk applied for a grant reimbursement, but we don't have it yet, and she's not sure if she'll get it before the end of the fiscal year, so it's covering the deficit through the end of the fiscal year. The next one, Veterans Benefits for $1,316, streetlights, energy for $5,500, and selectmen salaries clerical for $3588. And it's being transferred to town meetings and elections, total of $10,404. And same issue here. Obviously with COVID, we had more staff needed, and she applied for a grant reimbursement, but we're not sure if we'll get it for FY21.
right, so
That's number 5?
That's number 5.
So that 16 grand plus would be coming back from the CARES Act money, and that'd go back to,
Yes, yeah, it's an elections grant that she has applied for first. If she didn't get it, we would be able to do it through CARES, but we can't end a year in a deficit, so she's looking to cover the deficit. If we get the grant money before the end of the year, we can use that money for something else.
correct, okay.
And transfer it back.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 is the soil board salaries clerical, $423, and the town accountant salaries, town accountant for $485, going to the Board of Appeals, salaries clerical for $908. They've had a lot of extra meetings. I think we knew that when we did the budget for FY22, they've had to raise it, so they were in a deficit for this year. Number 7, we're moving money from pensions, Bristol County Retirement, $3,025. The Council on Aging, salaries van drivers for $6,115. The Conservation Commission Stormwater MS4 permit, $8,500. The Planning Board Town Planner, salary line item, for $4,000 to move into miscellaneous compensated balances, a total of $21,640. We always pay all of our buybacks for the end of the year, or if people leave during the year out of this fund, and we did have a long-term employee retire that took a big chunk of that money out, so. Number 8, we have council on aging, salaries, van drivers, $53.70, pensions again for $4,172, and the soil board salaries clerical for $458, and we're moving that to technology telephone line item for a total of $10,000. He had some over expenditures. Archiving is a new one. Social media, we have to archive all of the posts that we have. It's a new requirement by law. We had a lot of IT work that we did this year in general. We connected the Council on Aging to our telephone network and absorbed that cost. We've been adding a lot with different departments. I'll mention the planning board too. That whole office is getting revamped. They had nothing in it originally, so we've just had a lot this year. We might be able to apply for some of this for CARES, but this would cover all of that. Number 9, CMAS, trash and recycling hauling, for $3,500 is moving to their salaries in CMAS. They've had a lot of overtime for, being open longer hours. I know we had approved them to be open for more hours, and that's the total cost needed to keep it open through the end of the year. Number 10, veterans benefits for, $5,470 is being transferred to the town building, salaries temporary. We were able to take advantage of extra staff hours during the year due to COVID, where the school age staff had more availability. They were able to help out with more town projects during the holiday season, and now they're working on all of the lawn care. Number 11, planning board salaries clerical, $800 is transferring to the planning board communications and advertising for $800. They've struggled to keep up with the advertising that they've had to do for the solar projects, so that will help them out there. And the last one, number 12, the town accountant salaries for town accountant, $299 is being transferred to the professional technical to cover an online conference.
All right, very good. Gentlemen, motion to approve?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
She's the only one that came in?
Well, no one else really needed, because it wasn't as detailed. She wanted to be here just to present.
All right, next on the agenda, we have FY22 goals and objectives discussion. So gentlemen, would anyone like to start, or Julie, or?
Yeah, so I feel like this is just a general, point for today. I think every year it's important for us to look at where we are and where we wanna go. You all have great ideas. I think we have great ideas, as a group of department heads as well. And I'd like to kind of collaborate this. The start of the new year is coming. What ideas do you guys have, or what do you want the focus to be for the next year? And I really like it. I'm sure you guys have some ideas off the top of your head, but just to let you know, let's think about it. And any ideas that you guys have, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chair, send me your ideas or your top 5, projects or goals that you see for the town for the next fiscal year. I can kind of put it all together, and we can put it on the next agenda and kind of go through it and set ourselves an official list of, goals.
Mm-hmm. We'll send a direction. Mr. Gaspar, any comments?
I do not.
Mr. Warner?
Mr. Chairman, I love this idea. I think to have essentially a virtual whiteboard for the town to, when we run for office, we all run with our vision of where we wanna see things go, what we present to the voters and to the taxpayers. And I'm really excited about this opportunity because I know, talking with you guys individually, everybody has their own set of ideas, and if we can get some momentum behind some things, I just coming to mind, like we've got opportunities with the gift to give redevelopment opportunity there. We don't know how it's gonna play out, but I'd hate to see that opportunity go by the wayside, There's a whole host of things, and just, one today that came up in town. I'm really concerned about where we are as a town, is how we're gonna handle mental health issues in the town. I just feel like we've got, as this pandemic starts to, line down or ramp back up? Do we have the infrastructure in place for our public safety personnel? Not only to deal with our own personnel, but also to the general public, you know, and that's something that I think as a whole, we should take a look at. So that's one, it's sort of, you know, it's not bricks and mortar per se, but it's an issue, you know, if we can make an impact on that. So I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to get our best ideas and put some thought behind these things.
Trying to steer the ship in
I think so.
a certain direction, a little bit of help.
Yeah,
Well, very good.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. All right, next we have right of first refusal, or first option as it's called, for chapter 61, which I believe is concerning agricultural land, the
Yes.
sale of agricultural land here in Acushnet. And we have a piece of property that's been put before us. I believe it's 329 Middle Road. The abutter is hoping to purchase 16,250 square feet of a almost 8-acre lot. And it's off Earl and Meadow Rose Court. And I guess they're adding to their property. They own 62,000 square feet and they're hoping to purchase 16,250 more. Because it's in chapter 61, the town has right of first refusal. So we've been notified by the assessor's office and COMCOM, and both have no objections to the sale. And it ends up being a piece of landlocked property once it's subdivided as the purchaser is wishing. So, gentlemen, any comments, questions?
Just a small, as you alluded to, Mr. Chairman, it's a very small, it's not even a half an acre piece of property, it's landlocked.
Mhm.
It's on the rear end of a farm that's off Middle Road. It's on the back end of the residential property owners to get some more land. I make a motion to forego our right of first refusal.
I'll second that. I don't know why we want to get in the way of it.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, number 6. Let's move forward here. This is a discussion on the Russell Memorial Library on Main Street here in Acushnet. As you know, that building has been empty for 6 or 7 years now. And initially, when I was first elected, there was an idea to move it toward veteran housing, which has since stalled for a number of different reasons, but the most, in my opinion, the cost and the gain, that just all fell apart. The cost was running somewhere $3.5 million from an estimate that was done back in 2018, which is already now, was that 4 years, just about? So you're about $3.5 million to produce 12 efficiency apartments for veterans. And that was all falling apart. I also went ahead and called the firm Soldier On, which is out in Western Mass, and they said properties of this size are very difficult to get on the boards. They're looking at like 30 units and above, and being at 12, the finances just don't work out. So now we're faced with, what are we gonna do? The town has 19 buildings at last count that we have to keep maintaining and keep, insurance, gas, electric, in this particular case, oil. I mean, we keep it at 50 degrees, but you still gotta put oil in the tank. And then you gotta factor in the maintenance. Right now, we're getting away with it, but part of the roof goes down, if there was vandalism or a fire, we're on the, well, the insurance might cover the fire, but the other things we're on the hook for.
Liabilities.
Liabilities, exactly, Mr. Gaspar. So we have to start thinking about, should we think about putting it up on the market? Get it assessed, get it appraised. It'll be back on the tax dolls again. you know, people ask me, well, what can you do with it, you know? Well, you could make a home out of it if you're really interested in doing that. I've thought of lawyers' offices, small doctors' offices, and accounting offices. My accountant is in New Bedford, and he's in one of the old whaling homes that he purchased. So, you know, there are things out there. So I think, you know, if we don't do anything right now, we're sitting there, it's just in the state that it's in, and it's only gonna get worse, it's not gonna get better. So, gentlemen, that's my opinion.
Mr. Chairman, I agree wholeheartedly. We had some discussions over the past couple of years on that property, and we were trying to do something with veterans homes, and I agree 100% with you that the cost, that it wasn't, it outweighed the benefit of doing it. It would be, you know, call it $400,000, $500,000 per home. You can go out and build a house on a large parcel of land for that. So at that point, I mean, we got a hot real estate market right now. We've talked about, you know, perhaps doing an auction on it. I think that if the real estate market is as hot as it is now, we take advantage of it and we get an appraiser to go out there and give us an appraisal, and then we can do, and I believe the town has the right to do, you know, a minimum bid on an auction and set a minimum bid, whether that number's 400,000, 500,000, depends on where the appraisal comes in. We have some wiggle room from that appraisal and make an adjustment to the minimum bid, and put it out for minimum bid and see what we get in, and we can sell it for a good amount of money, and somebody can utilize the property, and as you said, put it back on a tax roll. I know that when we were doing the new library and we were moving things, transitioning the old library over to that, it's got some beautiful architecture inside of the building. Granted, it does need work, but it is a beautiful building on the outside and the inside, so I think there's some value there for someone. You know, maybe that right person's out there right now, so we could take that avenue and see if we get any bites on it that route, and, you know, see where we end up. And I don't know how that money would go, if that would get returned to the general fund, or money would have to be put in with the library board of trustees because of the way that building was structured and things were done in the past. So that's something we would have to look at on the side, Julie, and see, you know, where that money's gonna end up going. Maybe that money goes in a special pot for the library board of trustees in the library for expansion there and utilization of that building. Who knows, we can discuss that when it happens, but that's the mindset I'm at right now.
I agree with all the above.
I think
no harm in trying to see if you can move the property.
Yep.
I'd endorse
We gotta
that.
remember that there is a time capsule on that property we need to dig up. Just so
When
everybody
was it buried?
knows.
Where is it?
Well, they
I
didn't
think
tell
it's-
us where it is, it's a secret. Well, we don't wanna talk about that on TV, so nobody's out in the yard digging it up or in the cellar, right? But there's a time capsule on the property.
When was it, was that buried in 1960? Was that the 100-year
No,
anniversary or the 150?
Was it the sesquicentennial?
So there's a
No,
time
no.
capsule on that property.
It's a great point.
So
I'll
we
do
need to,
research
if the sale of the property, if we could make a sale of the property, we would need to keep that into consideration and do some research on, and that's the town's possession, right? And I think there's a memorial there that we would need to move. Perhaps we move that to the Veterans Memorial Park, somewhere in that location over there. It's not that big, so we can do something like that as well, but there are some things that we would want from the property.
Placing some sort of architectural restriction too, so the character of the building isn't, nobody vinyl sides it.
Or knocks it down.
Goes over there.
So, I mean, yeah, we can
Right.
do something like that, yeah.
Yep.
We can
Good
research
to know.
that. I think that'd be a good, goal and objective for Ms. Hebert.
Now that
Yeah,
would that be something that has to go town meeting? We'd have to all
I'm
vote
pretty
for
sure.
that, right? Sell it, that sort of thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll do some research and check in with town council, but I'm fairly positive it has to be done at town meeting.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Okay, next we have number 7. We have the Buzzards Bay Watershed Ride approval. This is the 15th annual Watershed Ride, and it'll be on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. It starts in Little Compton, Rhode Island, with 300 riders making their way through 11 towns and over 100 miles to eventually end in Woods Hole. And at some point in this race or ride, they travel through our fine town of Acushnet. So,
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Riverview grant. This actually has to do with, the outfall over at, Riverview Park, I believe.
Yeah.
And this is for a grant that's being requested. Actually, this is for, we applied for the grant, and this is a vote that we'll back it up if we don't get the grant, we'll
So,
grant up
essentially-
25% of it.
Yep, essentially, we're applying for two grants. The main grant is $126,000, that's the coastal pollution remediation grant. And that also requires a 25% match. So we're looking to get that match covered with another grant. If for some reason we don't get that grant to help cover the 25% match, the town will be, asked to cover that with their own funding. So essentially, I just wanted this to be on your radar that you all are applying for the grant, knowing that we could be on the hook for the 25% if we don't get the grant.
What, like
the second
30,
grant.
32,000
About 30,
bucks?
yeah.
Yeah, the 30, right, of the 100.
And
Yeah,
obviously,
no.
we can go to town meeting, we would have to go to town meeting for that, but if we have a fall town meeting, which I think we're planning on, we'd be able to appropriate something there.
Right, and if not, we could always go for a reserve fund transfer.
Yes.
If it was in the time frame where you have deadlines, because we all know how
Right.
grants work out, and if you don't meet deadlines, and we've been wrapped up in that in the past year or 2 years, Ms. Ebert, we've talked a lot about missing deadlines. And something that we will work better at in the future, but,
Yeah.
I think, if it's gonna pay off and it needs to be done, 32,000 bucks.
Mhm.
Maybe we can come up with that money. If it warrants, we can make
Right.
town meeting to do it, that's great, but if not, I think we could do it through reserve fund transfer. There's 150,000 there that we ups, so we never
Right.
brought it back down, so there's some reserve there.
And I think you're all aware, this, like you said, this has been going on for a while. We were chosen out of, there were at least 10 different properties in the region. And this one was chosen as one of 3 that the Buzzard State Group kind of worked with to get all the design together. So we should, we're not guaranteed the grant, but we are very, very favorable to receive both grants for this project because it's something that's very desperately needed, so.
This is in collaboration with the Coalition of Buzzards Bay as well, right?
Yep.
They identified like 5 different ones, one of them being ours in Acushnet.
Yeah, it
That's
was 3 in the end, we were one of 3 picked.
Right.
And there were a lot of different, from all the local municipalities, we were one of 3 that were picked.
And that's stormwater output into the Acushnet River?
Yes.
At the end of the park there?
Yeah, right at the end of the park, so when we did the work, for the shared street grant, where we, updated the bike path through there.
Correct.
They worked with us, cause I know at the time Dan mentioned it, we talked to the people, we went out there, and they have really great ideas for how to make this remediation work with the work that we've done. Where actually we might expand some of like the bike path over, the work that they're doing here, so.
On Slocum Street.
Yeah,
yeah.
actually on, I'm not gonna say.
Go that.
it. Yeah, thank you.
Right.
And right along the water, where it almost seemed like it'll be like, raised walking paths over
Mhm.
like the marshy kind of areas too, so.
Very good.
They were really excited about the project, and I think if we get this, it'll be a really great, end result. for
Basically
that
a way
area.
to filter stormwater before it goes into the discharge, into
Yeah.
the river, right? After that cleanup.
Yep.
All right, well, very good. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
Grant, golf. Yep, golf. This is kind of a notification of the people that we're hiring. I believe at the last meeting, we approved some part-time positions to be added to the golf course. And it says in front of us, we got a starter, and then 3, we got 2 students, and 3 students actually.
For maintenance.
For maintenance, probably cutting grass and
It says
pushing
that
cars around.
usually when they do this, it says that these positions are replacements and funded within the 21-22 budget. So it's just people that have left and then we're replacing them. That's usually what occurs at the golf course.
Mhm.
They don't stay long. Sometimes the kids will spend a season or 2 as maintenance crew.
Right,
I
right.
think the starter might be something different in that category, but neither here or there. The golf course has been, doing really well, so.
That's right.
The new supervision and leadership role that we gave the committee, has proven to, work out pretty well
Yep.
for the committee and for the golf course, so right now it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, yep. And, so this is really just a notification that they've hired people, this isn't,
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we have on the agenda is a hardship application for for ambulance service from the town of Acushnet to St. Luke's Hospital. If the resident, is asking for a, excuse from the debt, and, they provided some evidence. There's no names or anything, it appears that one person is retired, it says husband retired, and she is, working part-time, making the amount that she presented on her pay stubs. So,
And the annual income falls in within that threshold, I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mr. Menard, how are you today?
Good, how you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you, doing well. So you have for us today, some discussion on road projects
Yep.
and, other things you'll be doing over the next year. And the floor is yours.
All right. You guys got the paper that, with the roads I was looking at. So these roads I picked, these are kind of the worst, and these are based on, like complaints we get a lot of times from residents, and it's a lot of them, and, the roads are really bad. The ones that are on here are bad, so, and again, it's based mostly on complaints that we have at the DPW.
Okay. Well, Mattapoisett, I know where that is, and Oliver Avenue, I know where that is. But, Wild Rose Lane and Cushman and Thomas Streets, what area of town for people?
Wild Rose is off the end of Park Drive, which is off of Fairway Drive.
Oh, yes,
Come up in
okay.
that area.
Yep.
And that's right down near the power lines, and that one is just, it's just crumbled to pieces.
I went out there today, actually, take a look at the road. I was discussing this with Mr. Menard while he was out on a project, and a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Wild Rose Lane. I didn't think it would be that bad, because it's not as old as a lot of our roads.
Right.
However, I did take a ride out there today, so I'm in complete agreement, and the good news is water pipe was done in 1987, so it's got what I'll call relatively new water infrastructure versus some of the other streets that we'll be discussing, so.
Correct.
Wild Rose is definitely one, it's a side street, it's something that we talked about in the past when we bought the paver. We're gonna try to stick with the smaller roads to get better at paving, and get the practice in on the small side streets and things of that alike. And then expand out after we get some experience, so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve Wild Rose Lane.
Are we going through each one?
You go each one, and like I said, if you go through, I can go through like what we have for chapter 90 funding. Right now, we have, 231 that we could spend. The rest, we got things that are still allocated in there, like the guardrails and stuff on, but that's part, so we got 231, and come July, we'll have the 316 roughly is what we usually get, which will put us like in the 550 range.
Cause there is one, and I know Mr. Gasper mentioned it over the winter time, and I've been over there, Monmouth Street is a smaller street, kinda like the Wilbur.
Correct, yep.
And I don't know where that falls, but that's one, if there's any way we could get that one on the list, I think that would be a good bang for the buck, because Monmouth has become kind of where people use Monmouth to get into
Cut
New
through, yeah.
Bedford,
It's
you
a
know what I
cut-through
mean?
road
It's a
for
cut
sure.
through, and
I agree.
it's really bad over
Yeah,
there.
there's a lot of them bad over there. Reason I didn't pick some streets like that, because that was gonna be one of our sewer projects that we were looking into, so
It's part of the
That's the
sewer,
reason-
it's part of the sewer phase
that we're really gonna
one,
look into, yeah.
which is that section from the PD down to the library, Nines Lane, and that's why he's reluctant to go in there, cause we do have a bylaw that says you can't cut a road for 5 years after we pave a road. And we as a board will need to figure out when we will try to go to the town residents and pass a sewer phase. so that we know if it fails, you know, say sewer phase one, which is that one over there, if it fails, you're not gonna bring that right back up to the people within a year or two, so then you have to stop paving the roads. At this owner saying Monmouth Street's a complete disaster. There's a lot of them, those side streets that are complete disasters, so I think once we get over the hiccup.
Options, Mr. Gasper, is like we did in your neighborhood, we just did an overlay, which is real cheap. And again, you know what I mean, to hold it off for a little while,
I mean, 'cause there's
which is not as
potholes
much
all over the
mix.
place.
It's a
So-
disaster, we talked about
I
it.
mean, I thought we at one point, we had talked about, I know we had talked about sewer, but I thought we weren't, I don't know, I thought we had made a decision that we weren't gonna pursue that anytime soon.
Well,
Unless that's something that's coming back up again. I just would hate to.
All right, I mean,
I
I think
it's
like I
something-
said, all them streets over there are all
Right,
chip
right.
sealed, so all them streets really could be.
I think it's something
Yeah,
like
so-
Verona that you give an opportunity, you gotta, we got CWMP done 2016, it was completed 2018-ish, 18 and a half. So there's a completion thing, you can't act on the CWMP. I think there's a false notion in some people's heads that you gotta go do something with a CWMP. The CWMP is nothing more than sewer expansion. So you have to take it to town meeting, and you have to bring those certain group of residents over. It would be a special town meeting, as we've talked about in the past, right? You bring that group of
Right.
300. If it fails, you might have the second group, which is down on the south, which is a much larger scope of project with ledge and things of that, the like. So that's a discussion for down the road, but we could do, as Mr. Menard said, instead of taking the wait and see and, oh, well, are we gonna go to past sewer phase? I agree with Selectman Wona that, and what you just said is, you don't go do the total reclamation like you're doing right now on Homestead and Wilbur and all that,
It's
right?
like that water
And
sewer.
conduit, you're not gonna rip the whole road down, and the total reclamation means you just rip everything off, you put the
Right.
processed gravel down, and then you pave over it. I mean, that's a task at hand, that's what we're doing now off of Middle Road.
Right.
You can do the overlay, it buys you maybe a 5-year period where it looks good for 5 years, it'll stop peeling off after a little bit. It's not gonna stick perfectly, but, it gets you a lot better condition than what we have to work with right now.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that
if you
something
got
you
an
guys would
immediate,
be
if we can
interested in?
address the immediate need,
Yep.
then I think.
I mean, again, like all them streets over there, do you pick one or you just go down the line if we're gonna overlay?
I think
you know,
it's,
over there?
I think we need to talk a lot more about what we're doing with Chapter 90 funds. I mean, I know you got some things here, but you do have a few projects that are already out there. I mean, we'll see where we end up at the end of this, but I got more questions for some of these roads and how we're gonna go about approving paving roads, so we can go down the list and talk about it and see where we end up. But Wild Rose Lane, it's, you're
Yeah.
right, it's a mess. There's a pretty big pothole in the center of that road, so, I mean, that could be damaging to somebody's vehicle, so it's a good side street for us to keep practicing on, and we do need practice, there's no question about it, we will get better and better, and then we can move on to the bigger projects, so, we'll go down the list.
Mr. Menard, is there a, like Wild Rose Lane, do you have an estimate, is that a half mile, quarter mile street, or?
Yeah, I got them
So
all.
many-
Actually, that's, it's 740 feet by 26 wide.
Okay.
Wild Rose Lane. What do you
It's
got
less
for
than-
it, Dan?
less than- I got 740 feet,
I got 650 on your old sheet.
yeah, this
Yeah.
one's good. I went off that, state list there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
I'm using the old,
Say
I'm using the
700,
water
yeah.
infrastructure and sewer infrastructure.
Sometimes they're not perfect, cause like I said, once you go out there and measure them, some streets are
Right.
wider than what that is.
700 feet.
Actually, I had one of them scouts actually did some measuring for me, so I could try to re-update that, paper from the state, so
Mhm.
I think we're getting shorted, on that, cause that's what gets you a chapter 90 funding, so maybe we get a little more funding if we get a little more, square footage of the streets.
They go based off,
So-
on the Department of Revenue, they give you road miles, they give you a whole description of your municipality. It's like Acushnet at a glance, in other words, it's an
Right.
at a glance page, and it says like, we're 67 road miles in Acushnet. That's what Chapter 90, the state uses to give us Chapter 90 funds, it's a percentage of the road miles. So what Jan's trying to do is, he's got it's like a Boy Scout that's going for an Eagle Scout
Correct, yep.
credential as this individual that we have on the agenda for tonight. And it's a project that we can give to one of these individuals to do it, so he's got them going out measuring all the roads to see if we can gain some road
Right.
miles to get more Chapter 90
Which you
funds.
did find some discrepancies there.
Yeah, so it's good for the kid, it's good for
The
us.
reason why is just because when we doing projects, and I go out and measure them, and they're not what they, what they say on the
Right.
paper, so.
And Mattapoisett Road's gonna complete the
That
Hathaway
kind of
project that
circle
started
type
last
of
year.
thing, and then again, that's another chip seal road. There's no water, no sewer ever going down there, that's why I kinda picked that one.
Mattapoisett Road?
Mattapoisett.
I got water on
Yeah,
this.
it's only up to just a little bit, Kevin, right at the beginning. That's
Oh,
all we
yeah?
have, and the rest is all wells and stuff
Alright.
like that, yep.
2,000, it says 2,000, oh, that's probably the length of the road. Oh, that's the length
No,
of the
that
pipe.
road's a mile and a half long.
Yeah, it says 2,250 feet, Mattapoisett Road.
Yeah.
And that's for water infrastructure, but it's relatively new, it's 19, well, I
Yeah.
keep saying relatively new, like it's new, it's 1968. But it's newer compared to some other ones, right?
Correct.
The problem, Dan, is how much, that's a long road, Mattapoisett Road.
Yep,
And you're talking, again, when you say chip seal,
yep,
that's, well, I'm gonna use it, it's crap,
yep.
the road, the tar, and you're gonna have to do a total reclamation. That's a long strip of road for us to, I feel, for us to be on,
Yep, well, I was.
relatively new at paving. That's all I'm saying.
That was a street that I wasn't actually gonna be doing a total digging it all out. I was gonna actually have a reclaimer, hire a reclaimer like we do, go out to bid for a reclaimer. They come in with the machine, they grind it up, they got their road graders, they grade it, 'cause that's what they do even for BJ Keith.
Oh, then you're gonna just pave?
And we'll pave it.
Right.
Cause it's only 18 feet wide, so that was my goal there, and the price I got in there was actually, cause I called up one of our reclaimers and asked them what the going rate was, and I believe it was like 188 a square yard they charge you. So you come in with a big machine, it grinds down a foot, they take their road grader, they grain it up, we haul the material out, and then,
You think it's
and then
really,
roll it, and then we'll
you
pave.
really think that there's not much money to do that road? 350 is a lot.
Yeah, it's a long road.
We
It's
did
a mile and a
Hathaway,
half road.
we outsourced Hathaway for what, 430, it was just
That was
over a
four,
mile
and that
too.
was a little over a mile, so this is a little over a mile and a half, that one. So it's a little longer than that, and it's actually over $100 cheaper than what we did, and how long ago did we do that, 2-3 years ago?
Right.
So-
Now that,
And
that,
we just gotta, the other thing that we need to be conscientious of, I know you're like a bull in a china closet to get out there and do stuff, and so am I. I'm excited about paving streets, right? I wrote all about it and talked all about it, but we need to make sure that when we're going back, we're not changing the height of the road. We got caught in that. Somebody
Correct.
did Leonard Street, and we got a resident or 2 or 3, then we have to go back out in a comedy situation, so we,
Correct, that's why I don't like hiring out, it's a lot easier doing in-house, but something like that, we'll have to hire out, it's, you know what I mean?
just
Super-
go and blast out all of that, reclaim the road, and then you just go in and
Yep.
because that would be something similar to what you did a few years back at Quaker Lane. That was reclaimed,
Exactly,
right?
exact
Down
same
to
thing,
the
Quaker,
gravel.
we did Gammons that way, they came in, ground it right up,
Right.
road graded it, Gammons, Quaker, we did a bunch of them so
Yep.
far, but yeah.
Would you break that road in like half? In other words, would you have them come in and just reclaim the whole thing and then leave it wide open and you gotta get out there and just, I don't know how long it's gonna take you, a week to
Yeah.
pave it?
You get there, you just get more trucks, that's all, the paper goes fast, it's just the trucks.
Alright,
So-
I'm concerned about being on a main drag.
Actually, I put in there for hiring trucks and everything on that, so that's including hiring
Oh,
trucks.
good. All right.
That's including.
That's hiring a
the
few trucks,
reclaiming.
not using
Oh, yeah,
the
you're gonna need more
resources
than
that
two,
we
yeah, you
have
need-
through your brother and stuff
Yeah,
like
correct.
that, right?
Yeah, something like that, you wouldn't be able to do something like that.
No, you gotta keep trucks moving all the time.
Yeah, so.
Keep that asphalt hot.
Yeah, so the paving keeps rolling, that's the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. Alright, if you're ready, man.
Yeah.
I'm worried. But if you think you're ready to do that
Yeah. I mean,
big road, that's a big road, and I'm skeptical right now, but if you think,
yeah.
I don't know how the board feels, but if,
Yeah,
I mean, well, I know, that's a wing in it.
I trust your judgment. I mean, I would argue,
It's,
we get more bang for your buck with smaller roads, but, I mean, it is a major thoroughfare. I mean, Mattapoisett Road, it's not gonna get any better.
And, I mean, the whole road ain't really wrecked, it's mostly the first mile of it, it's real, I mean, the half a mile is really bad, the first section of it. And, we've been patching it, and it's kinda just, like I said, so,
you're talking about
I mean,
where the
that's your
stop
option if
sign,
you
is
wanna
that
do
where the
it.
stop sign comes around
Yeah,
from
from the-
Hathaway, when it
correct.
shakes that sharp bend, you come to that stop
Yeah,
sign
and
right
that
there?
whole first section,
That first
I know
section
you know
going,
it is, yeah.
all the way down like Holly or whatever it is, down
Yeah.
on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
So use your best judgment if you don't do the whole thing, and maybe, I don't know, figure it out, but, You just gotta make sure that when we're meeting up with people's yards, we're not getting the road too
Well,
far
see,
above
this is where
surface,
that
so that we're
reclaim-
not getting blamed for storm water getting in the yards, cause that's where we ended up with problems. And we really don't wanna listen to that song and dance, so if we're gonna do it, that road needs to be put right back to spec. And follow me, the height.
That's the guy you hired, reclaimers. And that time, like I said, I wasn't out there, because we're doing a bunch of projects, and you go back, and it's tough, like I said, you gotta be with them guys all the time, and, you know, tell them cut. I was telling one, I wanna finish in Gammons Road by myself, because the guy, I kept telling him cut, and I just said, get out of here, and I finished grading it with the skid steer. That's how sometimes it's arguing with the contractors, it's more difficult than doing it yourself, so, just saying.
Yeah.
From experience out there, so. But, I mean, again, it's your call, that was one we were throwing out there, I mean, we do have the funding this year to do that, and this ain't even counting that, the money that's in that 100,000 that's in the budget that you guys put in for paving this year as
Right.
well, so.
There you go.
Well, we have,
So you got Wild Rose,
I think what we might do is have a discussion, as Mr. Wona kinda started off the conversation, is it's nice to go out and do this stuff, but we can't be doing total reclamations on all of these roads down to what, like we're doing now, Dan. It's more of what Mr. Wona spoke of, is we need to go in, do a quick grind. You know how they grind and do the, overlay,
Yeah,
an
no.
overlay.
you can only do it on, if roads, if you got enough asphalt. The ones that we're doing,
We're not,
chip seal.
I understand, but
do that.
we're starting Middle Road
Yep, that can be-
on where the water infrastructure was put in years ago. That's all collapsing in too, so this is, we, you know, spending money's great, getting projects done is great, but your main thoroughways is much more important than trying to go out and do
So
total
something like that, you can mill
reclamations
2
everywhere.
inches out and pave
We
it.
might need to go in, hire somebody to go in and grind Middle Road,
Yep.
that's a good road.
Yep.
You grind an inch off and you put an inch and a half or whatever on it, or an inch and a half off, inch and a half on. The Middle Road's starting to get pretty crappy over there.
Yep.
So
So
we
there's
need
Nice
to,
Lane too as well, so that's another one.
yep, we talked about that last year, we was gonna go over and do that patch by Arujo Brothers, cause
Yep.
it's getting pretty significantly bad now, it's getting worse and worse and worse, but, so we need to get out there and patch that curb to
I mean,
curb, we talked
again,
about cutting that.
Would you guys rather me look into that right now and see before we make any decisions on this stuff we got?
I think if you wanna do
I can check
Mattapoisett
this.
Road, cause you have a lot of complaints, do Mattapoisett Road, Wild Rose Lane needs to be done, my concern is, Cushman and Thomas Street.
Because of the water, and that one's like really bad.
You know,
Again,
we should, I understand, we got, Hope Street's really, really bad too, right?
Correct.
And that's
Well,
all.
kinda wraps around with Thomas and.
That's correct.
goes right into
Tom,
Hope, yeah.
so Cushman's only a short little strip, and then it curves to Thomas, but then you got Cushman on the other side, because it goes to a wooded area, and then you got Cushman that runs all the way up. So
Yeah.
are we talking about this little strip on the side of Bonneville's Market, or are we talking about
Bonneville.
Cushman, the whole Cushman?
No, Bonneville's over to Thomas with the.
That little
MMA.
strip, and
Yep.
that water infrastructure is 100 years old.
Yeah.
Cleveland Street we didn't do because that's 100 years old. Nye Ave, we did an article to do water infrastructure, that's 100
coming
years
up.
old.
Yeah,
So we need to,
yeah.
before we go and spend money and just say we're getting things done, you gotta look at the underlying conditions. And if our water infrastructure is that old, it wouldn't be my recommendation to go in and pave that road, do a total reclamation and not dig water pipe out of that road. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of counterintuitive of the goal, right? Because you know you're going back in to rip that road back up again to do water infrastructure.
Correct.
So,
Again, this is based on complaints that we get in our department, so that's why it's thrown out there. I realize that, just saying.
why, you want me to get the complaint list out? They're everywhere, that's why we bought a paver, right? We
Yeah,
just,
correct.
we
And
have
if you go to
limited
the-
time,
if
and
you
we
go
have
to the-
limited resources, and that's why this board gave an extra $100,000 in town meeting into the budget to get more of this stuff done, but we just need to be smart at what we're doing and making sure that we're not going out there 5 years, 7 years later ripping up a brand new road. That's my concern.
Well, very good, that's a good segue into our next discussion on the water main replacements.
Correct.
And that's
Is there-
NIAMS.
Mr. Chairman, just a question, do we
Yes.
need some final action on these things, or are we holding these off?
And we got plenty of time, I
think,
mean, the year, he's got
Yeah.
limited time.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be out there paving, I wouldn't imagine, in July when everything's 90 degrees and early August when it's 90 degrees. It's way too hot to be doing that stuff. Most people don't usually do that unless you're a full-blown paving crew. So I don't know if you're really, cause you got drainage work you're gonna be doing as well?
I got that too. That's
So-
what I'm saying, I mean, it's up to, we can do the more paving, or we can do,
Yeah.
hot is actually a better time to do it.
No, I understand, I just don't know how much we're gonna actually do, cause we're not a full paving crew, Dan, and I know we wanna get a lot done, but,
And the residents really, I tell you, they're really liking us out there and.
oh, yeah, I know, I've been out there with you, I've talked to residents, I know all about it, it's great, everybody wants new road, but you
Mr.
gotta be smart.
Chairman, would it be okay, I guess we hold these off, but in the meantime, if asked Dan to come up with a game plan to address Monmouth, like just an immediate, like what that would look
Like
like.
an overlay?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to, for kicks and, you know, just so we know what it looks like.
Well, I kinda figured it out if we did the whole thing, so it's probably around 10,000-15,000 to do that, like an overlay. It's like
But I just
40.
wanna know where it fits in the whole,
Yeah.
you know, because again,
Yeah.
that is a real tough one.
Like I said, it's fairly cheap to do an overlay, it's not the best job, but it's at least.
It's an improvement.
Right,
Correct.
yeah.
It's brand new tower, it's just an overlay.
It's only-
If you don't have the subsurface to do it, put the grind the road and put the notches in it so that the overlay sticks to the old road the right way, instead of just paving over it like this.
Right.
It's gonna peel off, I mean, it's not gonna stay there for very long, you get, I don't know, what do you think, 3 to 5 years out of that?
That's what Hammond Street was, they overlaid that, and that's why it just
Yeah,
keeps
so,
falling apart.
I mean, you know, there's ways to do things, and it's just, we're kinda new to it, we wanna get a lot done, but I mean, it's, you know.
Just,
Wanna bang,
no, just asking for a plan.
Wild Rose Lane, I mean, give you something else to do, so you have something else in your pocket. There's no sense in approving all this, cause you're never getting all of this done before snow hits.
Yep,
Never,
nope.
never happened. I don't believe it. Not with all the other things you wanna do, drain work and everything else that's in your budget that you're gonna be doing, right? So we do a little bit now, get off, do some drain work stuff, right?
Yep.
And then the following season, April, May, June, at the end of the year, you go back out, you got that money left over, you get out and do some more. Figure it out. But, I mean, I have no problem if you wanna do Mattapoisett Road and see what that comes out looking like. If you're confident, Dan, that you can do it,
Our next appointment's here.
I'll give you that. I mean, if you guys are okay with Wild Rose Lane and getting Mattapoisett Road done right now, a lot of people live on Mattapoisett Road, and there have been a lot of complaints on Mattapoisett Road, so if Dan wants to, you know, he's got guys who want to do it, you wanna approve those 2 streets, and then leave some money left over for us to make decisions later on down the road. He's got a bunch of roads to do already.
Fine by me.
What do you think?
That's, what, it's 400 out of the, yeah. All right, if, you'd like to make a motion for
Yeah.
Mattapoisett Road at $350,000 and Wild Rose Lane at $43,000 to pave.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Right there, so you got some,
Dan, we'll go back
Some
out
work
and
to schedule there.
revisit, you know, with the list and,
Okay, yeah,
you know, figure it out.
yeah.
Cause we
No, I
gotta
agree.
talk about
I mean, I just-
engineering with the board too, cause you
Yeah.
and I have been talking, but it's, you know, we gotta bring that up to the board about the engineering for 9th Street, right? And that's gonna
Well, that's
require money.
actually, that's on the agenda, so.
yeah, that's what we're gonna talk
Oh,
about
yeah?
next.
Yeah,
Yep,
yep.
water main replacement.
Alright,
I believe you guys got that, right, the quote from
Yep,
Gap Engineering?
Gap Engineering.
So, that is for him to, draw me up a plan, he's gonna put that all on, paper, so I can put that out to bid. So that's basically for all his engineering fees to do that.
And that's water main work.
And then, you know, what I mean, that's, you know, drawing me up a plan, and then actually, it puts in even, you know, the bid opening, you know what I mean, be at that, and awarding the work and all that stuff, so, we really look at that. It comes out to 34.5 was his quote.
So this doesn't go to Slocum, it stops prior to Slocum.
No, it goes
Goes right to
slow,
Slocum.
yeah.
Okay,
From
well,
over here?
it says Main to Hope Street, so I'm just reading that.
So he probably put it all the way through, because now you have.
Because Nye goes
cross
right to
over.
Hope Street.
Right.
Nye cuts across Slocum and gets,
Oh,
and
okay.
jumps to like another 100 feet, 150 feet.
Right,
To
I
Hope.
think
There's a
I
small
had that.
section of street. I
Correct.
didn't realize it either, but.
Correct, it goes behind
Yeah, it
and
jumps.
it goes down to that gifts to give area.
That's correct, that's
Right
Hope,
down,
yep. And
run
it jumps,
back
but
there.
I didn't realize that Nye jumped Slocum.
Right.
And there's a section of Nye that's like, you know, from here to that garage,
Yep.
maybe 150, 200
Yeah, it's
feet.
block long.
But that's what it's concluding. Dan, it's this 12,000,
Yeah, that's for him to go do the survey work, right?
Survey.
So he goes out there with his crew, surveys everything. Before he can put it on plan, he's gonna check out where all the gates are, where all the existing curbing, everything to put on the plan, you know, so he's gonna get out there. and-
yeah, he's got all this in his bid though, attend bid opening.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff you don't have to do.
Prepare construction specifications and bid documents.
That he has to do, yep.
prepare a construction cost estimate.
You don't have to
That's
do that,
obviously,
yeah.
right? So you're saying like 2.6 might be something that we stop at, because we don't know if there's gonna be enough funding left in that article. We would have to go back to town meeting, because you're spending out of water surplus.
Correct. Well,
So-
right now, this is out of that article.
That's correct, we got the money for engineering.
Yeah, so, but once he comes back.
You think the
with
number will
bids-
come down a
once we get
little
the
lower?
bid backs, we'll know, I can talk to him, yeah, and then some of the things he could probably take off, like I said, the construction cost estimate we don't need, and, you know, the tender bid opening, he don't have to be there either for that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Gaspar.
When I was speaking with Mr. Manat, I've been doing some investigation, after some long talk about, infrastructure. Doing Slocum Street. Now, that's been hanging out there for a long time, and the cost of it. So I've been doing some investigations into grant money, and lo and behold, we've been missing out on some significant amount of money in grant funding, because we don't have our infrastructure engineered. So you're not eligible to go for the grant unless you have engineered projects in the scope. So the town can't get a grant unless we have like shovel-ready projects, right? And that means you're ready to go, hit the ground running, we have everything engineered, then we can apply for a grant, and it could open up the door to several $100,000 of grant. We don't know yet. I just started working with Dan on that, but I know we've missed out on some opportunities in the past, so, because we're not engineering. That's why Mr. Manat's taking this lead on getting that road engineered, so we can
Right.
start getting an idea of what we can and can't do.
I mean,
With grants.
do you wanna do the engineering as well while he's over there? He's
For
close
what?
to do Slocum as well. I mean, I can get another quote from him he's out in the area, now you got two projects that are, you know, at least you have the.
I don't know if I'm ready to make that call. I'm just, yeah, I'm satisfied with, again, because we had a town meeting approval to do Ninth Street, right? Water infrastructure, we thought we were gonna do it in-house. I think it's a little bit much for us to be chewing off with the small crew that we have. So that's why let's get the engineering drawings and everything ready to go, and then Miss Hebert, whether it's myself and you working, Miss Silva working with Miss Hebert, start going after these grants. And I think once we get educated on how we go about getting the grants, it's basically just resubmitting different paperwork for different projects at that point. We can get better and better at it, just like we will with paving, right? Same concept. But we need something as a template to start.
So what do we need to give Mr.
So
Chairman?
we need to approve the cost of $34,500
Yep, so I get the ball rolling, correct.
to get the ball rolling.
Motion to approve.
And if I
Not
get a
to
little
exceed,
cheaper-
not to exceed, and talk to Gaff,
Yep, I
you have a
will.
good relationship
Yep.
with him.
Yep, Bob.
What we need to get the project done. He
Yep.
talks about bidding and all that stuff, we're not there yet, so that'll come out of, I think, the estimate, right?
Yep.
So the estimate will get lowered from the 34, I'm sure. I don't know how much it'll be
Yeah.
lowered, Dan, but let's figure
Yeah.
that out. What?
No.
I'm tight with my money, man. I don't wanna be giving somebody 34.5 and he's not doing the, from start to finish. I mean,
No,
let's-
I understand completely, I understand.
Let's get
Dan
something
will-
engineered,
Dan will have
let's
a
see what it looks like on
conversation
paper, right? You'll have engineered plans for us, right?
with him.
Yes.
Like you
correct.
were gonna go out and do the job, let's pretend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a motion, to not to exceed $34,500.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Dan, now we move on to,
You got the, there's two privilege fees there?
two privilege fees.
Yep.
Now
That's
this,
on Monty Street, yep,
the question I had is MG Property, is that the developer of the Bonnie Street?
correct, yep, think so. What are you talking about? Let me
It's
see
those,
here.
it's those three properties, right?
It's three house lots going in, this is only for
Not
two,
the developer.
you're only doing two right now. One house is actually up,
That's not
Right,
the
right,
developer.
the one at the end.
This isn't the name of the developer doing that
No.
project, though.
no.
It's LER doing that project.
MG Property Group,
I
yeah.
don't know
Read
who that
it.
is.
It's MG Property
That's
Group.
the owner of the, right? I believe he's the owner.
I have no idea
Yeah,
what-
Kathy usually deals with this, and we have to go through the attorney, goes, checks all this out, all the deeds and all
I
that
only
stuff.
got one in here.
He's the one who gives you this.
Right, so
Because there's
Jaratowski's.
three different types of privilege fees. Jaratowski's actually the one that does
Jaratowski's
the
the
work, correct?
first one.
Okay, so
And
this
he's
is.
the one who comes out with the privilege, because I know there's three different types of privilege fees, and
Okay.
Jaratowski gets all the info and he does this for us.
All right, so this is for an assessment for the sewer, for that one property, that newest house being built down at the end?
2, because he's doing another one. I don't know if there's a foundation in, but there's
4 and
number
6?
And number 4 is going on. There's Labonte and number 6.
Okay.
So that's the actual
But it's gonna be
tie-in.
3.
It's gonna be 3, but it's an actual tie, and
correct.
that's why the betterment needs to go out.
Correct.
And this number's, it's consistent with what we've done in the past.
Yep.
And
Because
David-
original, that's the
Garrett
tie
does.
into the sewer that we still have a loan on. So any people tying into that sewer, they have to pay the privilege fee. It was the betterment when they first did the sewer, which was, 14,000, I believe, back then. And so
So the
this is a little
formula,
cheaper.
there's a
Yeah.
formula that he
Yeah,
uses.
correct. And I know if they install the pipe themselves and stuff, like I said, I know there's like 3 different privileges.
We have that somewhere. I have a copy
Right.
of that whole thing, the formula from Garatowski, how it works. It's
I-
like 90% of the face value of what it was when it was done in 2008 and all that stuff. It comes out to that 12,610 number. I've seen that 12,610 number done in the past. And it's irrelevant whether we have
Yeah.
borrowing on it or not.
Yeah.
That thing could be paid off. Somebody ties in 50 years from now, you're paying the 12,610.
Well, that ain't been in the past. We have stuff that's been done in the 80s and they ain't paying that privilege fee.
So we need a motion to approve?
We should look into that one. Yeah.
I agree with that. That should be looked into.
Motion
Yeah.
to, make a motion to approve.
4 and 6 Labonte Street.
I have a
Correct,
second?
correct, Mr. Chairman? We're looking for 2 properties.
Yep.
Did these guys, because they gotta sign off on this, have they used my papers or you have? a
I
set or-
have copies.
Okay, for them guys to sign, okay.
I need a second. We need a vote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Okay, next is the chapter 90 update on the funds.
Which, we
Which-
kinda went over that, we skipped down
Yeah.
a little bit, but, we had the 231 now.
Yep.
Come July, it's like 316,000, it's in a couple $100 that comes to us in July, so it'll give us like roughly
All right,
550,000.
so that's where you came up with that number from before.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Correct. So that's where we'll be at for this year, so. And again, it's still other stuff like the guardrail projects that are in here.
Mhm.
I think that's about it. The ruler came out of there already, so that was,
Dan,
yes.
why do we have a state aid reimbursement for chapter 90 and it's talking about Conduit, Homestead, Myrtle, and Wilbur? We've already approved this.
Yeah, so that,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh,
This
that
was
one,
something that
okay.
we put out the bid, and then after
Yeah.
1 year expired, we pulled that from PJ,
Yes.
and we did it, we said we're gonna do it in-house when we
Yeah,
talked
for
about buying a new
100.
paver.
So it's, again, streets are wider, pavement went up, that's the big cost, because pavement went up since this was actually done in 19. When this got approved and we were back down to the
What's
100,000.
what's the
So-
cost difference
Right.
from, on those roads, and you're saying it's $125,000 difference?
Yeah, well,
What?
no, $25,000 difference. So that's for all 4 streets.
Right, so we
Who's
need
that
to approve
number?
the additional 25,000. To
Correct.
complete the,
That's all it's going,
complete this project. And
changing,
that-
yeah.
And that's for the cost of the asphalt.
Went up, increase in asphalt, increase in processed material, so that's all in the cost of that.
I don't
Because
see,
now we're
I
buying
don't
it
see
out
the
of-
increase of 25, I just see 125,000.
That's a total project.
the original approval was 100.
Where the original approval was
So you guys
100,000.
will have to approve
Was it?
that increase,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, all right, very good.
Okay, so we need a.
So that's another
Yeah.
signature, yeah.
Motion to approve the additional $25,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good.
I think that's it for me.
Yeah.
That is it for you.
All right, guys, have a good night, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, gentlemen, we have Michael Poirier Jr., who's gracing our presence right now. Michael, come on up.
Hi, Michael.
I mean, Brian, you can come up to the podium, please. How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And just for the people out there in television land and that, Brian Poirier Jr., a member of the Boy Scout Troop 333 in East Freetown, Massachusetts, and the Narragansett Council in East Providence, Rhode Island, received his Eagle Scout ranking on December 17th, 2020, last year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes. As an Eagle Scout, Brian has earned 35 merit badges and has served his troop in a variety of leadership roles. He also accomplished a major community service project, the replacement and restoration of the Welcome to Acushnet sign, which I saw the other day while I crossed the bridge into town, which bordered Slocum Street Bridge on the town line of Acushnet. Brian organized a crew to remove the brush and clean the surrounding area of the bridge where the sign was to be attached. He also replaced the missing sign on a new restored welcome sign and pole. Brian recently graduated from Fairhaven High, so that was what, just last week?
Yesterday.
Just yesterday. Very good. So that's as recent as you can get. And plans to continue his education and major in biology and jazz studies. And that's quite a eclectic mix.
Thank you, yeah.
You know? Some music. Have you picked a school where you're going to be continuing your education?
I'm gonna go to UMass Amherst. I'm gonna major in biology and I'm gonna do music on the side.
Excellent, excellent. You have a specific instrument that?
I play the saxophone.
Saxophone.
Yes.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Well, you come here before the board today, and we have, well, Mr. Gaspar, did I cut you off there or something?
No,
All
I
right.
just, if I could just apologize to the family, I know that this was something that was done prior to the election. And on election day, I think that you had an event on the election day, so I apologize. And I know there was a little bit of mix-up of not getting you into one of my meetings when I was the chairman for this, so I apologize
That's okay.
to you
Mhm.
for the delay in the citation, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Well, you've come here today, and what we've prepared is, Board of Selectmen has an official citation to present to you. It reads, "Be it known that the Acushnet Board of Selectmen hereby extends its congratulations to Brian Michael Poria, Jr. in appreciation of your Eagle Scout achievement and 35 merit badges awarded this day, June 7th, 2021. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And much success with your endeavors in the future.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Very good.
Do you
I don't know.
Do you wanna take a picture?
You wanna get up and take an official town picture? You wanna present this to you?
This, so my suit, buddy.
Well, we'll Photoshop a tie on you.
Yeah.
We're gonna have them come before the flag, in front of the flag.
Sure. Yeah, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry, I kept on.
Congratulations. It's an honor.
Thank you.
Maybe come back here, you can.
Do you want to scoop?
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, I'll hand that to you, and you can shake my hand in. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, and look at the camera. Very good.
Okay, we're good.
Very good.
Great.
All right, very good. We'll send you a copy of it. All right.
Yeah, let me move that in there. Scoop that
Put
out.
it up on our website.
Congratulations.
Thank you again.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
You're very welcome.
Thank
Very
you,
welcome.
congratulations, you should be very proud of your son, I know
Thank
you are.
Have a wonderful evening.
Take care.
Okay, I got pushed around here. That's my second page of my agenda.
I ran out of paper, still no meeting?
Now we have a town administrator now, selectmen announcements, if any. Okay, for information. Want me to go ahead and read that?
Yeah.
What do we have? Information, just for information for us. Concom has sent an enforcement letter, or enforcement order to 4 Wilfred Lane in Acushnet for the lack of compliance with Concom's enforcement orders. And I guess they've been dealing with wetland issues and removal of fill and construction debris that has encroached upon the wetlands on that property. So they'll be pursuing that, and hopefully it'll all be worked out in the future. And for the people out there, the following boards and commissions has vacancies. So if you'd like to volunteer your time and be part of the ongoings of Acushnet, we have 1 vacancy on the Agricultural Commission. We have Beautification Committee, which is wide open, so anybody who wants
It's
to.
empty right now, so.
Yeah.
It's completely
10+.
empty, so you would be the person, or persons, who would be in charge of the beautification of a town. The Board of Appeals has one alternate vacancy. The Community Preservation Committee has 2 vacancies. The Cultural Council has 2 vacancies. The Finance Committee has 1 vacancy. And the Historical Committee has 2 vacancies. So anyone interested would send Lisa a letter of interest, and we would review and approve. Next future business, we have a meeting Monday, June 21st, at 4 o'clock.
Sounds good.
That's
And
about
I
wraps
think
it up.
after today's meeting, we might have 2 on the finance committee, because we
Right, with
didn't
John.
count John Howcroft.
Yeah.
So we might have 2. Just, I mean,
Okay.
it'll be, like, after he, after this resignation, there
Yep.
will be 2.
We'll
Well, that's
update
true.
that every
Yeah.
week on the agenda, so
Very
people can
good.
see it.
Yeah, we'll keeping it in track, so that way we can.
Okay, well, gentlemen, next one is an executive session. Executive session under General Law 30A, subsection 21A3, to conduct strategy in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, fire chief, or to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel if an open meeting will have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public, as the chair so declares, and the board will not return to public session. Roll call vote, Mr. Wona.
Yes.
Mr. Gaspar.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. We will retire to executive session, not to return to public session. Thank you very much.